really not based on merit, but based on who you know and what that person can do for you, and what your manager can do for you, what your promoter can do for you.
And that's it. That's all she wrote.
One of the things that I found fascinating about boxing is that the business side is unlike any business I've ever been a part of in terms of the overall structure, to where there is this unofficial farm system that feeds into the major promoters. And those promoters, because of the contracts that they hold with the broadcasters, really hold the keys to the kingdom. And I have seen a lot of wealthy business owners, very successful business owners from other sports come into, or not from other sports, just from other businesses, come into the sport of boxing, think that they can run it the same as other businesses, and they end up, losing a lot of money because they just don't understand the business of boxing at the higher levels and how the system feeds into it. As a manager, do you help educate the boxers on this system, this farm system that the majority of them are going to participate in, and that unless they're signed by the major promoters right off the bat, they are going to have to be part of this feeder system that feeds into the bigger promoters?
Well, yeah, a lot of young boxers just getting into the business. It's kind of, you have to kind of confront them with a reality check as to how fast they're going to be able to move up in the rankings if they're good and they can continue to win. And a lot of it is, really not based on merit, but based on who you know and what that person can do for you, and what your manager can do for you, what your promoter can do for you. And we've all seen it. The boxers moving up in the ranks that aren't necessarily the best, and we have boxers at the top getting bouts or matching up with boxers not because of the challenger ability, not because of merit, but because that's who the champion wants to fight. And so a young boxer has to realize that a lot of the stuff that happens in boxing, doesn't really isn't all merit. You can be the best boxer in the world, and it takes you a long, long time to get to this top, unless you do things right. And that's when an experienced manager or promoter can help you out, really.
As a young fighter, do you advise them to have a manager right off the bat?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, because if you have a manager, obviously, when you start out boxing, you're not making a lot of money. You can't make a living starting out, but unless you're one of the top people, unless you're a former Olympian or a really good champion amateur or something. When you start out, if you're in that class, when you start out, you could oftentimes sign with a promoter that has a lot of money and can afford to pay you to train and pay a lot of your expenses and build your record up. 95 or 98% of the boxers who start out, they're not like that. They have to start out, with a lot of times promoters and managers and so forth that aren't going to pay them a lot of money, so they can't make a living boxing. They have to oftentimes work a full-time job along with that, along with their boxing career. So it can be really, really tough for them to do that. You have to educate them about what to expect. And it's going to be a long, hard road, to build up their record and to get them to a point where they can, start getting bouts where they can make, something that they can live on. So boxers have to realize that most boxers have to realize that it can take a while, and most of them think they can. A lot of them think they can, start boxing and take the world by storm. When they find out, initially what or maybe their first 4-round fight, and they find out, they're going to get $600 for a 4-round fight, and their manager is going to take a third of that, and the trainer is going to get 10% of that, and they have all these others. They're not making a lot of money, so a manager can help them go through that. But if they don't have a manager, obviously they don't have to pay a manager's fee, and the manager typically gets a third of the boxer's gross purse from a fight. That's the maximum that in California. That's the maximum a manager can take from a boxer or his person. And let me qualify what I'm saying here. What I'm saying pertains to California law, commission rules and regulations in California. Other states have similar rules and regulations and laws to California, but they differ from state to state. But so mostly what I'm saying here applies to California law. One of those laws really is that a manager can take up to 30% of a boxer's purse. So that's one of the downsides of having a manager. But the manager can be very helpful to a fighter. Because a lot of times managers know the rules and regulations of the commission and the boxing laws in California, and they have certain knowledge about commission rules and certain things they can tell the boxer to do that can save them a lot of time and a lot of money, and even win matches for them. So we can get into some of those things if you want, but I think a manager generally is important to a boxer, because if not, there are a lot of things that managers can do, and if a boxer doesn't have a manager, the boxer is going to have to do it rather than spending time in the gym working out and working at his job making a living. So the boxer can be very beneficial, or a manager can be very beneficial for a boxer.